Evaluating No Child Left Behind in Minnesota. No Child Left Behind made good schools look bad and made bad schools look good. It cheated schools that were big and diverse. Let's learn from the past. Here's some evidence. This graph shows Minnesota high schools back in 2008. Every point is a real high school. The smaller schools are to the left and the bigger schools are to the right. Top to bottom shows the proficiency portion based on MCA scores. Schools that made adequate yearly progress, or AYP, are shown in red. Small schools with low scores sometimes made AYP. Big schools with low scores never made AYP. How did this happen? NCLB's golden aspiration of total proficiency by 2014 was simply impossible. This should have been obvious from the beginning. If we hadn't adjusted this core goal, then almost nobody would have made AYP. But if nobody made AYP, then NCLB wouldn't have told us much. So we went ahead and made some adjustments. We'll discuss two of them. One adjustment was to apply a margin of error to test results. This graph, which isn't precise, shows the concept. The bigger the school, the smaller the margin of error. So, margins of error gave less help to big schools than to small schools. A second adjustment was the elimination of small groups. This meant that small groups didn't stand in the way of AYP. A big enrollment increased the number of groups that could potentially prevent AYP. Also, a diverse enrollment with lots of students from multiple ethnicities would increase the number of groups that were considered. This graph shows the combined effect of size and diversity. Larger schools are to the right. Schools with higher minority portions are at the top. Note that high schools with high minority portions rarely made AYP, and that big high schools with high minority portions never made AYP. The upper right-hand portion of this graph could be called the AYP dead zone. Here's the key problem. The impossibility of reaching total proficiency by 2014 created the need for adjustments. The adjustments were biased against big, diverse schools. This wasn't fair. There's a lesson here. Choose a core goal that our best schools can actually achieve without big adjustments.